Hi everyone, welcome back to Performance Testing Mentor channel. Today we are diving deep into database testing with LoadRunner tool. This tutorial will help you to test the database performance effectively using LoadRunner tool. Here in this tutorial we are going to use different LoadRunner functions to test the database performance. Make sure to watch till the end of this video. Also, if you feel like you are getting some knowledge with the help of this particular video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. As a part of today's video, I am going to discuss about how we are going to connect the LoadRunner to a database and also how we are going to execute the queries and how we are going to fetch the results from the database. The prerequisites for today's session is we need to have the LoadRunner installed on our machine, and also we need to make sure that any DB is going to be installed on your machine. In my case, I am going with the Microsoft SQL Server. So you can go with again MySQL or PostgreSQL or Oracle, anything is fine. So again, I have like the NopCommerce database on my machine installed. So which is the very key thing in this case. You can go with any database, that is also fine. So coming to the next thing, we need to have some basic understanding of SQL queries like the select statements, insert statement, update statements, as well as the delete statements. And also we need to make sure that we have the virtual user generator on your machine to generate the script and to execute the queries with the help of the user. So these are the basic prerequisites that you need to have before going to work with the database testing here. So before going to jump into the database testing demo, I just want to give you some overview of a few LoadRunner database functions. So which starts with LRDB connect. So this is the function which is going to establish the connection between the LoadRunner as well as the database. And the next function is like LRDB execute SQL statement. This particular function will execute the queries like select, insert, update and delete. And the next function is LRDB get value. This is going to fetch a specific value from the query result. And the next function is LRDB dataset action. This is going to perform dataset actions like navigating through different rows and columns. And the last function that you need to know is LRDB disconnect. This is going to close the database connection after the execution process. So without wasting any time, let's quickly jump into the demo. So as a first step, right, I'm going to open the SQL Server Management Studio on my machine. So let me go to type here to search and let me search for SQL Server Management Studio and click on that. Here in the SQL Server Management Studio, I'm going to show you like how I'm going to connect to the SQL Server Management Studio with the help of the username and password. And also I'll show you the database which we are going to consider in this particular session. And also I'll run few queries and I'll show you the query output also. So once if you open the SQL Server, right, you're going to see this particular interface. So wherein here we need to connect to that SQL Server database with the help of SQL Server authentication by providing the proper login name and password. So here already I have provided the login name and password. So let me quickly connect to the database by clicking on this connect button. So once if you click on the connect button, you'll connect to the database here. And on the left hand side, you're going to see the databases option. So if you click on the databases option, it will expand and you'll see the different databases that are available in this SQL Server Management Studio. So for this particular video, I'm going to use this NopCommerce IISDB database. So if I expand this Nopcommerce IISDB database, I can see multiple tables that are there in the tables folder. So if I expand that, these are all the different tables that are there in the Nopcommerce database. So let me run few queries, few basic queries to show you the query output and everything. So in order to run the query, I'm going to click on this new query, and once if you click on that, a new query tab is going to open. So here you can type your query and you can run your query. So for now, what I'll do is I'll take one particular table in this case. So in this case, I'm considering the table called customer. So I'm just executing one basic select query here by typing like select star from. I'm going to give the table name here as customer. Okay, let me give the proper table name. So customer. So if I run this particular query or execute this particular query, then I'm going to see the output over here, right? This is the output wherein I can see clearly the details of that particular customer table here. So with this query, you are able to see multiple values here, which include some null values also. So if you want to exclude all the null values and if you want to see only the data which is having the proper details, then you need to modify this query. So let me quickly add few more queries here. So this is the modified query of your customer table. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm trying to select the details from customer table where the username value is not null, right? So I'm trying to fetch only the values where the username is proper one and which is not null. So if I run this particular query, right, by selecting this, I need to click on execute so that that query will run and you can see the proper filtered output here, right? So in this way, we can run the queries in SQL Server. So let me take another table, right? There is one table here called product. So if I want to see the details from that particular product table, just select that particular line, right? And click on execute. It will show you the details of that product table. And if you want to specifically extract only few columns of that particular product table, then you can run this particular query called select name, price, stock quantity from products table. So only the column names called select like name, price as well as the stock quantity details are going to be shown here once if you execute this query. See, we are going to see only the name, price as well as stock quantity information here. Let's quickly open LoadRunner tool and also try to understand like how we are going to connect to the database with the help of LoadRunner Vusion and how we are going to run these queries with the help of LoadRunner Vusion. So I'm just opening the LoadRunner Vusion tool. So once after opening the LoadRunner Vusion, you're going to get this user interface. Here, if you click on the new script or create new script option, then you're going to get this pop-up. So here you can select either web HTTP HTML or you can go with this ODBC also as a protocol here. So for now, let me go with ODBC protocol. Why? Because web HTTP HTML is pretty much common. So here also like there is no much difference between ODBC and web HTTP HTML protocol as a part of this particular video. So let's go with ODBC protocol here. Here I'm going to name this as database testing. Let me name this as database testing and just click on. Once the script got opened, you need to go to actions. Here what we are going to do is as a first step, we are going to establish the database connection. So let me comment the same thing. I'm going to establish the database connection. So this is our first step. So in order to establish the database connection, right, I'm going to use a function called lr underscore db underscore connect. So if you want to know more about this particular function, just place your cursor somewhere in this particular function and press function F1 on your keyboard, so that it will take you to the help of that particular function. So this function is going to help us to connect to the database, right? And here they have provided some example also. So just click on this example, and from here you can copy the particular functions syntax and everything here, right? So here you can see the example, right? I'm just taking this particular LRDB connect example, and I'm going to copy this, and I'll go here and I'll paste this LRDB connect function. In the LRDB connect function, we have multiple arguments. The first argument is the step name. So you can give any name over here, which is a meaningful one. So which indicates that particular step. So for time being, I'm going with the database connection as the name. The same name I'm keeping here, which indicates that we are doing the database connection step. And the second argument here is the connection string. So this argument is very important argument, wherein you need to provide the information which you are going to connect with your database, with which you are going to connect with your database. So here we need to provide data source information. We need to provide the initial catalog information, as well as we need to provide the like persist security info, and we need to provide the user ID as well as the password of this particular SQL server, whatever that the DB connection that you want to do with. Okay, so let me increase the size so that it will be clear for you. So here, as a part of this data source, right, I need to provide my SQL server information over here. So I already copied my SQL server information over here. So this is my SQL server information. So let me copy that and place it here under the data source. And as a part of this initial catalog, right, we need to provide our DB name. So the DB name that I want to connect with is NOP Commerce IIS DB. So I'm just providing that DB name over here in the initial catalog. And the persist security info, I'm going to keep it as true, the default one. And let me provide the username as well as the password with which I can connect with the database. So the username is Mohan, and the password I'm going with is admin. So this is the username and password with which I'm going to connect to my database. And the next argument name is the connection name. So this connection name is also important argument. The same connection name, whatever that you're going to provide here, you're going to use it in the next steps also. While executing the query and while closing the DB connection, everywhere we are going to use the same connection name. So for that purpose, make sure that you are going to provide the proper database connection name over here, right? So for time being, in this particular video, I'm going to run only the select query. So I'm just giving the connection name as select database connection, as I'm running the select query only in this particular video. And the last argument is the connection type. So here we need to provide the connection type of which particular database you want to connect with. So if you go to the help, right, of this particular function, you can see the different connection types option here. So the type of the data provider we need to mention over here. So the valid values are, we can use SQL. Okay, if you are using the Microsoft native SQL provider, you can go with OLEDB, right? And you can go with ODBC, or you can go with Oracle, right? So these are the valid values which you can pass. For now, I'm trying to connect to SQL Server, so I'm going to provide here the connection type as SQL. And this particular function is going to end with last. So this is the last argument of that particular function. Now let me go to the Solution Explorer and go to the runtime settings, and let me enable the log here. in the runtime settings. Okay, so let me go to log and enable the extended log as well as the parameter substitution and save the script. And now let me go to the output pane and pin that output pane here, and let's try to execute this particular script, and let's see whether we have successfully connected to our database or not. So I'm just running this particular script. So if the successful connection is happened, then I'm going to see in the output a specific message. Okay, if it is failed, I'm going to see some message, right? If the successful connection is happened, then I'm going to see a message called database connection started. Okay, if this message you are seeing means the connection is happened successfully, right? So whatever the arguments that I passed here are proper one, and I'm able to successfully connect to my database right now with the help of VUGen tool. So as a next step, right, after doing the connection, I'm going to execute the query as a next step, right? So my next step here is to execute the query. So let me do the comment. So execute the query, or else let me type it as execute the SQL statement here, right? In order to execute this particular SQL statement, we need to go with a function called LRDB execute SQL statement. Execute SQL statement. It is case sensitive, so make sure that you are going to provide the function name properly. And if you want to go with the help, just press function F1. It will take you to the help of that particular LRDB execute SQL statement. And we know that this particular function is going to help us to submit an SQL statement to the database. So you can go directly to the example, and here you can copy this particular function syntax from here, and you can go to the action and paste that particular function syntax here. Now in this particular function also we have different arguments, so which starts with step name, obviously, right? So here I need to provide a proper step name which is meaningful one. So let's give the step name here in this case as select users. So I'm trying to run the select query for the users like a customers table, like wherein I want to extract the user information. So that is the reason why I'm giving the step name as select users. You can give any name, that is fine. And the next argument is the connection name. And as I mentioned, right, this connection name is important. Whatever the connection name that you have provided in the uh, establishment of DB connection part, right, the same connection name you need to copy and you need to paste here. So the connection name should be same in both the places. And the next one is to, or the next argument is the SQL statement. So here we need to pass our SQL statement. Let me quickly go to the database and copy the SQL statement, like the first one, select star from customers here, and let me paste that particular statement over here, right? So I provided the SQL statement also, and the next argument and the final argument is the dataset name. So here also we need to provide a proper dataset name. If you want to know more details about that, just go to that particular function. So it will provide you the information of the arguments clearly. So if you go to the dataset name, like it is the logical name for the resulting dataset from the SQL query. So we need to provide some logical name, so by which you can refer to the dataset in the subsequent steps. So with the help of this dataset only, we can able to fetch the values in our next steps. So that is the reason why we need to provide some logical name so that we can use this data set going forward in our next steps, right? So for now I'm trying to provide a proper name. So for this, so I'm just giving the name as user data. Again, any meaningful name is fine. So let me quickly save this particular script. And if you are going to run this particular script, the expectation is to see some output, right? But obviously here, after running this particular query, right, your load runner is not going to display the output directly. So if you want, we can run this particular uh, script till this particular step. Okay, so let me quickly validate this and see whether we are going to see the output in the output pane or not. So after the execution got completed, if you go to the output pane, right, see here, you can see the database connection started. It is showing for the first step, and SQL statement execution is also started. It is simply showing that it is started only, but it is not displaying any value here, right? So in order to display the data or the information, okay, which we are extracting from this particular query, right, so we need to use one more function here. Okay, so let me use that function in order to extract the value, right? So I'm just giving a comment here as extract a single value from the query response. Okay, I'm just giving like from the query response, right? So I'm trying to extract a single value right now, okay, from this particular query response. Okay, so in order to extract that, we need to use a function called LRDB get value. Okay, we need to use a function called LRDB get value. So if you don't know the function name, or if you are feeling like this function name is not right, so then simply type up to LRDB and just press control as well as space on your keyboard, so that it will give you the suggestion, right? If at all, if it is not providing it, then that is fine. Let's go with the get value function directly here, right? Everything in small. So this is the LRDB get value function. So if you want to go with the help, just press function F1 to copy the syntax. So this particular function, right, it is going to retrieve a value from the data set. So now in order to retrieve that value from the data set, I'm just trying to go to the example and I'm copying the syntax from here. That LRDB get value syntax, I'm copying from here and I'm going to paste that syntax here. In this particular syntax, if you observe, right, we have a first argument called step name, right, which is common one. So here also we need to provide some proper step name. So in this particular case, I'm trying to extract some username, right? So let me give the proper name as get username value. Okay, this is the step name that I have provided here. When coming to the next argument, that is data set, I need to provide the proper data set name which I have provided here, right? So in the above step, I have provided the data set name as user data. So let me copy that data set name and paste the data set name over here. And which particular column you want to extract, that is your next argument. So if you want to extract a specific column, then you can provide that particular column name directly over here, or else like you can ignore it, right? But for now, let me run this particular query on SQL Server, and in this is the particular table, right? So in this table, I just want to extract the column name called username. So in which particular format it is there, we need to provide the same name over here. So I'm just providing the same column name here as username. I'm trying to extract the username information, and I am trying to extract which particular row. Okay, that also I need to mention here. So for now, I need to extract, I'm planning to extract only the first row information, okay, of the first column, like username column. So I'm going to provide the row as 1 here, which is going to extract the first row value of this particular column. And finally, After extracting that value, if you want to store that value into a specific variable, okay, then you can pass that particular name over here. So this output param value, it will store that information, that extracted value into some variable. So that variable I'm storing here, I'm giving here, right? So for time being, I'm just going with the same name, that is my output param. So whatever the extracted value, I just want to store it here in the my output param variable. So now, in order to see whether my value, right, my username got extracted successfully or not and stored into this my output param variable or not, I need to add LR output function over here. So let me add like LR output message function. Okay, so let me go with LR output message function. Here I'm going to give like I'm going to print this particular message. I'm going to print a particular message, output message, which I can see in the output pane, right? So I'm going to provide a message called username is, I'm going to give properly like the percentage s, give percentage s, and I need to provide the my output param value. So this value is a LoadRunner value, like this is the LoadRunner function value. So I need to use LR eval string. Okay, I need to use LR eval string function, and I need to extract that particular value, LoadRunner value, right? So in order to extract that, let me give like uh, let me copy this variable and let me pass this variable as a parameter over here, and let me close this function, right? Now if I execute my script till this particular step, I'm expecting that the connection is going to establish and the SQL statement is going to run, and from that particular response, we are going to extract a column name called username and the first row value, and that value is going to be stored into a variable called my output para. So let's quickly run this and verify whether we are getting the same expected response or not. So after executing this particular script, right, if I go to the output pane, I can clearly see like my output param value as admin@yourstore.com, right? If I go to the database and if I verify it, see, this is the username column, and in that the first row value is admin@userstore.com. So the same name we are able to extract here, the same data we are able to extract here successfully. That means we have connected to our database successfully, and we executed the query successfully, and we extracted the value also successfully. But here we are extracting only the single value, right? So let us assume like you want to extract all the values from the query response. In that case, how we are going to do that? Means, let me put the comment like extract all values from the query response. Instead of one value, now we are planning to extract all the values, right? So for this purpose, we are going to use one function called LRDB dataset action. So let me use the function called LRDB dataset action. So this is the function that we are going to use it here. Now let's quickly go to the help to just get the syntax here. So this LRDB dataset action function, it is going to perform an action on a dataset. So let's quickly grab that syntax from here. This is the syntax. Okay, this is the syntax. So let me copy that complete syntax and do this and go here to the actions and paste it over here. Okay, so this is the syntax for that. and again here also we have multiple arguments which starts with the first step name. Okay, so let me keep the step name as it is. I'm just planning to print this particular data set, so I'm just going to keep the same name. And the data set name, right, I need to provide the same data set name that we are using in the above steps. So let me copy that data set name and paste it over here. And I just want to print this particular information, right? So that is the reason why I need to provide the action as print over here. So once after giving this action as print, then it is going to print the information to the output pane. Here you can see the complete query information in the output pane. So let me quickly save this particular script, okay, and let me run it. And let's go for the output pane and to verify the proper output. So let it run. So here, if you go to the output pane, right, here you can see that entire table information clearly. So let me maximize this. See here, here you can see that entire table information clearly, right? So how we are seeing in the database, right, with null option. So we are going to see the same information clearly over here, right? So if you don't want to execute or extract the null values, right, then as usual we need to execute the second query. So if I execute the second query, it is going to show only the three values properly here in this particular case, excluding all the null values. So let me copy this select query, the second one, and let's go to our script and modify our script with the new query. Okay, so I'm just going to modify this query. Okay, instead of select star from customers, I just want to extract the customers information whose value is not null. Okay, so now here let me run this particular script for one more time and let's see the output now. So my expectation is I should see the same kind of output even on LoadRunner also, right? So let's quickly go to the output pane and let's verify whether we are getting the same output or not. So let me expand this output pane, and here you can see, right, we are seeing the same information like how we are seeing in the database, right? So that means we are good with this particular connection and extracting all the values here properly. So as a final step, right, after this particular step, as a final step, we need to close our database connection. So let me do that final step here. So let me quickly give the name as disconnect database connection. Okay, so in order to disconnect the database connection, we need to use a function called lrdb disconnect. Okay, so let me type clearly lr db disconnect. So if I go to the help of this particular function, right, I can get the syntax. So let me go to the help of this function, and this function is going to help us to disconnect from a database. So let me quickly take the example, copy this function, and come to our action.c and paste that particular function over here. So here we need to provide a proper argument, the first argument as the step name here. So I'm just trying to disconnect to the database, right? So let me keep the step name as disconnect only. And I just want to provide the proper connection name here. See, whatever the connection name that we have given in the execute SQL statement, right? So the same connection name, I'm going to copy it from here and I'm going to paste it here, so that that connection is going to be disconnected here, right? So let me save my script and run this particular script for one more time, and let's see whether we are going to get the proper output or not along with the proper disconnecting of this database or not, right? So let's quickly go to the output pane, and let me expand this. If you see here, right, at line 5, you can see like database connection got started, and at line 13, the select user statement got started here, right? And at line 21, you're able to extract a single value, and you are able to store that value into a variable called my output param. And at line 32, right, you can see that entire table information which without null values clearly. And at line 36, right, you can clearly see that your database disconnection got happened. With this, I want to wrap this video here. And if you want to explore more on advanced topics like how to handle dynamic parameters, how to implement error handling and logging, and how to write the query results to a file when you are working with database testing with the LoadRunner tool, then let me know in the comments. If you found this particular video useful for you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, uh, and also share this with your testing community. So your support helps me to create like more in-depth tutorials like this. So hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more amazing content. Thank you.